I would like to ask you some questions, and I don't think we will have time for questions from the audience, but of course you can attend the breakout session. Both Kuno and Sara mentioned connectivity. It's a key word in shipping. And in this high North Atlantic region, there is a big high North Atlantic country that we yet haven't included in our cooperation. It's Russia. Cecilia Myrseth, you said that you have for a long period of time cooperated with Russia when it comes to transport planning and also other kinds of issues. How do you think Russia will be as a possible partner in a really integrated high North Atlantic shipping network?
Not sure if I'm the one to answer that question, but what I can say is that Russia is a big country, and we have cooperation on regional level, people to people, cultural cooperation, trading, and among things. But I do think when we talk about developing the Arctic, politics, business, you also have to talk about and with Russia and with the Russian regions in the north. But how to do it? Maybe some of the other speakers can answer. Maybe not. Maybe Sarah. But I think it's important, and we have cooperated with them for a long time. They are our neighbors. We have a border with Russia, so they are there. So we have to speak with them in all matters, I think.
Any other comment on Russia as a possible significant player in this? John?
I would just say that fisheries, for instance, cross international boundaries, and so it's logical that those fisheries would be part of our trading network.
Good, thank you. And John, I have a question to you. You are managing ports in Maine. And of course, you are interested in increasing the volumes through your port. How do you approach the possible geographical markets at the other end of the high North Atlantic? For instance, Greenland, Scandinavia.
So we see some tremendous opportunities there. Initially, when Eimskip first started calling in Portland, we were what we call import heavy. So we were importing a lot of fish products that had been traditionally coming into North America. And we wanted to find ways to fill those containers and send them back. And we have been doing that with blueberries and potato products and frozen processed lobster. But we see lots of other opportunities. For instance, in Greenland, we see a real potential for exporting building materials to help them rebuild housing stock and create new housing. In northern Norway, for instance, we see opportunities for finding products that we could stuff into those containers that are arriving in Portland today, carrying frozen at sea haddock, and sending something back. So I think there are lots of opportunities out there, and we're going to continue to pursue them. And in part, that means going to the countries, spending time there, making the relationships so that you can develop trade over time.
Thank you. Any other comments to what John is speaking about? Then I have a question for Kuno. You mentioned, and also Sara did, the cooperation between Royal Arctic Line and Eimskip. What are your expectations, Kuno, on this cooperation? What will it bring? What kind of enhancing of the community of Greenland will this be?
I see a lot of possibilities, and that's also why we are doing it. And I think John explains very very good what kind of possibilities we are seeing here. As I also said in my slides quite quickly, is that our companies in the North Atlantic have to get ready for this opportunity, and maybe they could make strategic alliances like we are doing in strategic purchasing of goods more directly from the sources, and also in regards to all the fish that we have in the North Atlantic, a lot of cooperation could become very realistic and create more value to our countries.
Yeah, we see this as a very exciting opportunity. One of the things I didn't mention before is actually in this joint venture, one of the plans is to today Royal Arctic Line sells 3 700 TEUS vessels. A TEUS is 20-foot container, and we actually intend with Royal Arctic Line to build 3 2,150 TEUS ships. So more cargo being able to be taken at once from Greenland and to Greenland, which is also a really positive thing.
Thank you. You have all expertise on transport and shipping, and for the high North Atlantic regions to develop as a economic region, you also need to move people, I guess. And do you have any comment on the need for, or the positive impact that also airlines crossing or following the same geography as your shipping lines? For instance, Reykjavik, Portland, Reykjavik, Nuuk, Reykjavik, Tromsø, etc. Will this expand the opportunities for shipping and trade? And how can you, how can you sort of go through such a process to include airlines also in this?
So I'll start. Travel will follow business. So the more business that we can develop, it will require travel so that you can build those relationships over time. And so as we see increasing trade between our countries, there should be increasing opportunities to see direct flights between these communities. We'd love to see a direct flight between Reykjavik and Portland sometime in the future, but I think that's the model that we'll follow.
Yeah, just to follow on from that, definitely, I mean, here at Eimskip, we are taking the cargo, but we need the people as well. We don't offer services today for shipping people. So definitely the airlines going the same way means that business can actually be made, regular meetings can be held, which is a positive thing. And like I say, with all these tourists now coming mainly by air, it's also creating a lot of business for us, importing a lot of cargo, and I believe this is also happening with the extra interest that tourists are showing the region. They're coming, visiting these regions more, which means that they will need more cargo, more import, and that's where we come in.
Yeah, Kuno first and then Cecilia.
I think it's a very important area of infrastructure, but remember that Greenland only has 56,000 inhabitants, and we have very, very few passengers compared to Iceland and Europe. I will urge everyone to think of organic, gradual growth instead of very big investments that eventually could make Greenland's very small economy insolvent. And by going with gradual growth, we can see how we can utilize the current and also future infrastructure to accommodate more business travel and also tourists, and also that the tourism infrastructure in Greenland can develop accordingly. Because right now we don't have the tourism infrastructure that can support a lot of people. and even our main airport in Kangerlussuaq can't accommodate more than, I don't know, 300 people. So if you take an Airbus 380, it can eventually take 400 to 500 passengers. So we have to be careful, in my view.
Thank you. Cecilia?
Of course, if we want to have a closer connections and more cooperation, we have to be able to meet and we have to use airplanes. I can just give you one example of how we have done it in the north of Norway with our connections with Sweden and Finland. It has been for many, many years to travel to the cities of the north of Sweden. We have to first travel to Oslo, the capital, then we go to Stockholm, and then we can go up north again. And that's a quite long travel. So we have, as a regional politicians, contributed to make this Arctic Airlink flight route between Tromsø, Luleå in Sweden, and Oulu city in Finland, for getting more business and others to meet, to cooperate more. So of course we need to discuss these issues when we're going to be friends and cooperate more in the future.
Thank you, Cecilia. This is an invitation for all of you managing airlines to contact Cecilia and to see if there is an opportunity to have the same kind of project between Reykjavik and Tromsø, for instance. Yes. Speaking about airlines, the Norwegian airline Norwegian, they have entered the market for cross-Atlantic lines. And this has made, I think this has contributed to lowering the prices of crossing the Atlantic. So it's really affordable for most of you in this panel and also Europeans present here to go to Portland, Maine, to learn more about the change of the community that Eimskip's establishment of the port or facilities there has done, what it has done to the society. I encourage you to do that, and those of you who are interested are welcome to participate in the launch of the study that you are now conducting. Thank you for your attention.